The ice on the inside of the windows looked like reaching fingers, jagged and hungry. I stood in the kitchen of a cabin that wasn't mine, clutching a lukewarm beer, watching the digital clock on the microwave. 11:14 p.m. In 46 minutes, the world would celebrate a new beginning. But standing here in the silence of the Blackwood Valley, I felt like I was waiting for an ending. My friends, 5 people I'd known since college, were laughing in the living room, their voices muffled by the heavy timber walls. They didn't know about the locked door I had found in the basement, or why the local at the gas station had turned pale when I mentioned we were staying at the Miller place. I'm Arthur. I'm a realist, a guy who works in logistics and deals with facts. But the fact remained that the math of this house didn't add up. We were supposed to be 6 people. Me, Sarah, Miller, Chloe, Greg, and Elena. Yet every time I did a head count in my mind, I felt a nagging itch that I was missing someone, or perhaps that someone was being added. The party had started strong. We arrived on December 30th, hauling crates of booze and bags of groceries through 2 feet of snow. Miller had inherited the place from an uncle he hadn't seen in 20 years. It was a sprawling, dark wood monstrosity, with high ceilings and a fireplace that seemed to swallow light rather than emit it. By New Year's Eve, the isolation began to set in. The cellular signal had vanished 5 miles back down the mountain road. The wind howled through the eaves, sounding less like air and more like someone screaming through a closed door. "Arthur, get back in here. Greg is starting the drinking games," Sarah shouted from the other room. I walked back into the warmth. Greg was pouring shots of expensive tequila. He looked flushed, his eyes a little too bright. Chloe was curled up on the rug, her back to the dark window. Elena and Miller were arguing over a playlist. It looked normal. It looked like every New Year's Eve we'd spent together. But then I saw the 7th glass. It was sitting on the coffee table, filled with amber liquid. It wasn't near anyone. It was just there. "Who's that for?" I asked, pointing. Greg glanced down, confused. "Miller's, I guess. Or maybe yours." "I have mine right here," I said, lifting my beer. Miller looked up from his phone. "Not mine. I haven't touched the tequila yet." We all went quiet for a second. The wind slammed against the house, making the floorboards groan. "Probably just an extra," Chloe said, though she didn't sound convinced. "We're all a little jumpy. It's too quiet out here." I sat down, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I looked at the window. In the reflection of the glass, I saw our group sitting around the table, but the reflection showed 7 figures. I blinked, my heart hammering against my ribs. I looked again. 6, only 6. Around 11:30 p.m., the power flickered. The overhead lights dimmed to a sickly orange glow before snapping back to full brightness. "Generator must be low on fuel," Miller muttered. "I'll go check it." "I'll come with you," I said immediately. I didn't want to be left in that room. We went down to the basement. It was a cold, damp space that smelled of wet earth and old copper. The generator was chugging away in the corner, but as Miller poked around with a flashlight, I noticed the door he'd seen earlier. It was a heavy iron-bound door, tucked behind a stack of rotted firewood. "What's in there?" I asked. Miller shrugged. "Uncle didn't leave a key for it. Storage, probably." As he turned back to the generator, I heard it. A soft, rhythmic thumping. It wasn't the machine. It was coming from behind the iron door. It sounded like a hand, not a fist, but a flat palm hitting the wood slowly. Thump, thump, thump. "Miller, do you hear that?" He froze. He listened for a long minute. The generator roared, and the thumping stopped. "Hear what, Artie?" "You're letting the woods get to you. Let's get upstairs. It's almost midnight." We climbed the stairs, but I stayed behind for a second. I pressed my ear to the basement door. From deep below, I heard a voice. It wasn't a scream. It was a whisper, so low it was almost a vibration in my teeth. "Count again, Arthur." I bolted up the stairs and slammed the door behind me. Back in the living room, things had changed. The atmosphere was heavy. Sarah was sitting on the couch, staring at the wall. Greg was gone. "Where's Greg?" I asked, my voice cracking. "He went to the bathroom," Elena said. She was nursing the 7th glass of tequila. "He'd been gone a while, actually." We waited. 5 minutes passed. 10. "Greg!" Miller called out. No answer. We walked down the narrow hallway toward the bathroom. The door was cracked open. The light was off. Miller pushed it open. The room was empty. The window was locked from the inside. Greg's phone was sitting on the edge of the sink. The screen cracked. "Maybe he went outside for air," Chloe suggested, her voice trembling. "Without his coat? In a blizzard?" Miller shook his head. We went to the front door. The snow on the porch was pristine. No footprints leading out, no tracks in the drifts. Greg hadn't left the house. He had simply ceased to be in the hallway. 50 p.m. We huddled together in the living room. We didn't turn on the music. We didn't pour more drinks. We sat in a circle, staring at each other. "We need to stay together," I said. "No one leaves this room. Not for a drink, not for the bathroom. We stay until the sun comes up." "Arthur, you're scaring me," Sarah whispered. "Something is wrong with this house," I said. "Something is taking—" I stopped. I looked at the group. Sarah, Miller, Chloe, Elena, me. 5. "Where's Greg?" I asked again, my brain struggling to hold on to the memory of him. "Who?" Elena asked. She looked at me with genuine confusion. "Who are you talking about, Arthur?" My blood turned to ice. Greg, your boyfriend. He was just here. He poured the shots." Elena laughed, a thin, brittle sound. "Arthur, I came here alone. It's just the 5 of us. It's always been the 5 of us." I looked at the others. Sarah was nodding. Miller was looking at me with pity. "You've had too much to drink, man," Miller said. "There's no Greg." I lunged for the coffee table. The 7th glass was gone. There were only 5 glasses. I grabbed my bag and frantically searched for the group photo we'd taken at the trailhead. I pulled it out and held it under the lamp. In the photo, there were 5 people. Me, Sarah, Miller, Chloe, and Elena. But there was a space. A gap between Elena and Miller where someone should have been standing. A blurred shadow lingered in the air where I remembered Greg's face. The house was eating him. It wasn't just taking his body. It was erasing his existence from time and memory onto 58 p.m. The power died completely. The house plunged into a blackness so thick it felt like being buried alive. "Sarah! Miller!" I screamed. "I'm here!" Miller's voice came from the left. "I'm here!" Sarah's voice came from the right. "I'm here!" a third voice said. It was Chloe. "I'm here!" a fourth voice said. "Elena." Then a 5th voice whispered directly into my ear. "I'm still here, Arthur." It was a voice I didn't recognize, a heavy, wet sound. I fumbled for my phone and flicked on the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark. I scanned the room. Sarah was there, Miller was there, Chloe was there. Elena was gone. "Where's Elena?" I gasped. "Who?" Miller asked. He was sitting on the floor, looking up at me. "Artie, stop it. It's just the 4 of us. Don't ruin the countdown." I looked at the photo again. Now there were only 4 people. The gap was wider. The clock on my phone ticked over. 11:59 p.m. "We have to get out! Now!" I grabbed Sarah's arm, but she felt cold. Not just winter cold, but stone cold. "Why?" she asked. Her face was becoming smooth, her features blurring like melting wax. It's almost at the new year, Arthur. Don't you want to see what happens when the clock hits 0? The thumping started again. It wasn't in the basement anymore. It was coming from inside the walls. Thump, thump, thump. "The Miller uncle," I whispered, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. He didn't leave the house to Miller. He left the house to the house. It needs to start the year fresh. It needs to be full. I ran for the front door, but there was no door. There was only a solid wall of timber. I turned back. Miller was gone. Sarah was gone. Only Chloe remained, standing in the center of the room, but she wasn't Chloe anymore. She was a tall, thin shape with too many joints, wearing Chloe's sweater. "Happy New Year, Arthur," the thing said. 12 a.m. The silence was absolute. I looked down at my hands. They were turning translucent. I reached for my phone, but my fingers passed through it. I looked at the photo on the floor. It was a picture of a cabin, empty. No people, just a dark house in the snow. I am writing this on the back of a piece of wallpaper I peeled from the hallway. I don't know if anyone will ever find it. I am the only one left, but I am not Arthur anymore. I am a memory that the house hasn't finished digesting. If you find this cabin, if you see a for rent sign or hear of an inheritance in Blackwood Valley, run. Because as I sit here in the dark, I can hear a car pulling up in the snow outside. I can hear voices, young, happy voices. "Look at this place," a man shouts. "It's perfect for New Year's." There are 6 of them. I'm standing by the window now. I am looking at them. They can't see me yet, but they will. They'll see me in the reflections. They'll see me as the 7th glass on the table. And by midnight, they'll be part of the house, just like me. The door is opening. I have to go pour the shots.